Welcome, everyone. I'm very glad that you could join us today. My name is Kara Cleveland, and I am the Professional Development Office Supervisor at the Indiana State Library. I will be the host and question moderator for today's webinar, Ways to Fill Your Shelves Without Draining Your Budget, presented by Laura Jones, the Northwest Regional Coordinator of the Indiana State Library. After the webinar has been transcribed, it will be available on the Indiana State Library's archived webinars page. If you're watching an archived recording of this presentation, information on how to obtain your LEU is in the video's description in YouTube. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to the Indiana State Library's e-newsletter, The Wednesday Word, and also check our continuing education website for other professional development opportunities. So let's get started. I am now happy to turn the presentation over to Laura Jones.
Thank you, Kara, and welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm Laura Jones, and today I'm going to talk to you about some ways that I've found to fill your library shelves without draining your budget. Before I get started, I want to go ahead and give you a list of resources in case you want to get the Wakelet board pulled up. Here's the link and QR code for a Wakelet that I've curated with all the websites and resources that I'm going to talk about or mention today. That way you won't have to feel like you're cramming to write everything down or copy everything. And also a resource list of everything I'll mention is going to be sent to the attendees after the webinar with the recording and the slides. Okay, so first I want to just introduce myself so you know a little bit about my background, even though most people just refer to me as that free book lady after hearing this presentation. But that's fine too, I'll answer to that. So I'm currently the Northwest Regional Librarian Coordinator for the Indiana State Library. I've been in that job since January of this year, so what a year to start a new job, right? Previously, I was the K-12 school librarian for 5 years, and then before that, I was a public librarian in another small library. I'm currently serving as the chair of the Isle Elliott Rosewater Indiana High School Book Award Committee. And I'm also reviewing books for School Library Journal and Library Journal. And I've been doing that since about 2017. I post book reviews and other bookish things on my blog. It's librarianlaura.com. And then I'm also very active on Bookstagram, somewhat on Twitter, not much, but you can see my name there, Laura Peden Jones. And I'm also very active on Goodreads. So if you want to check me out on there, I do love to talk about books. All right, now a little bit about why this presentation came about. So over the period of about, 4 of the 5 years that I was a school librarian, I received and donated over 2,000 books worth over $31,000 to my school library. These titles all came to me free through contests, giveaways, and also providing book reviews to publishers in exchange for titles. I'm going to tell you about how I got started. And I'm going to give you a ton of resources on how you can get books for your collections. You can do this on a small scale, or you can just use a few of the resources, of course, or you can go all out and sign up for everything like I tended to do. It all depends on how much time you want to devote, and I found that the more I did it, it became kind of a second nature, and now I sign up for giveaways and watch newsletters all the time without even really thinking about it. I've kind of trained myself to watch for them. And one more thing before I start is that I'm not an expert on any of these things. I just want to share what I've found with everyone, so I hope you can find some useful resources. So let's begin, shall we? All right, so it all started quite a few years ago with just a few book reviews and a blog. I started reviewing with Blogger a long time ago because that's the one I used in my master's courses, so I was a little bit familiar with it. I started a blog for fun just because a lot of my friends and family were always asking me what to read, and I was always talking about what I read, so I thought, well, I might as well type it up and post it. Then I started getting some free books, so I started posting more frequently and spending more time on the blog. I didn't really know a lot about blogging, so I kind of taught myself through YouTube videos and Googling questions in order to figure out things like categories, tags, widgets, all those fun things. Then I began to seek out other avenues for getting free books, and that's kind of why I've compiled all these websites and places together to share with you all today. So after I did Blogger for a little while, I switched to WordPress and I bought the librarianlaura.com, and I saw an increase in traffic, much larger increase in traffic on WordPress than with Blogger. And then I got talking to somebody else who was a blogger. I really didn't know anything about it, and she had me connect it to all my social media channels, and that, of course, increased the activity. And then once I started adding tags to my book reviews and posts, that helped a lot as well. So after I go through all these resources, there's a lot. I'm also going to be giving a few tips for starting your own blog, as well as some book reviewing tips. All right, so I'm going to be going through a number of web pages and links. They're all listed on that Wakelet board that I shared. So again, don't worry about trying to get them all written down. They're going to be sent out after the webinar. The first thing I'll mention is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the main social media channels. These are a wealth of giveaways and contests. What I do is follow publishers, authors, illustrators, and other book bloggers because many of them give books away around the time of publication or just for various events that are going on. Lots and lots of giveaways. For a few examples, so you don't think I'm just telling you this, I retweeted a post by an author and won 5 signed hardcovers, book swag, and an author visit for my students one time. I'll talk more about that later. I used a hashtag child of books and posted a photo on Twitter and won a basket of books and swag. I retweeted a publisher's post for a sweepstakes and won a prize pack of books for my school. So these are just some quick examples. And Facebook example, one of the authors was giving away ARCs of her forthcoming novel, and all you had to do was comment that you wanted one, and I won an ARC. So it's really usually just something as easy as making a comment or retweeting something on social media. So non-social media, we'll start with Bookster, Bookstr, Bookster. This has giveaways that change every month, and you can enter all of them, as many as you want. You're also able to keep lists of what you've read and what you would like to read on Bookster. You can attach your blog and get followers and talk about books with them, kind of like Goodreads, but just not as large of a scale. And then Shelf Awareness newsletter. If you're not subscribed to Shelf Awareness, I would highly suggest getting subscribed because it comes out, I think, every couple weeks, and it's chock full of contests and giveaways for books of all genres and age groups. In a later slide, I'll show you some examples of things that I've won from them and kind of what their newsletter looks like and how to find the little giveaways. And then Goodreads, of course, thousands of book giveaway contests of early books and finished copies. You can enter as many as you like. You can sort your giveaways by the most popular, the ending soon, the recently added, but you can also sort by a certain publisher or genre of books. If you're only interested in romance giveaways like me, well, no, I read everything, but those are my favorite, so you can sort. You can also be notified of new contests on Goodreads when an author you follow or a book that's on your to-be read list. So Goodreads is a great way to enter giveaways, especially if you're already using Goodreads to keep track of what you're reading and what you want to read. Book Riot is an editorial book site that includes podcasts, newsletters, giveaways in all genres, children's, teens, adults, and they have about 9 or 10 giveaways listed at a time on their website that change about monthly. BookBub is similar to Goodreads again on a smaller scale, but they have great recommendations and lists that might help with some reader's advisory as well, and then they also have great ebook deals. BookPage, many of you might have this magazine in your libraries. I'm a huge fan of BookPage, love it. They usually have a contest and a sweepstakes every month on their website, so those change monthly. Contests usually are a box of hardcover books. I did win that when I worked at the public library. It was a box of 5 brand new hardcovers. All you have to do is enter a comment on their contest post, and they also have a great newsletter for librarians, actually many different newsletters in various genres you can sign up for. And then Book Sweeps has contests, giveaways, and ebooks, free ebooks, all sorted by genre for easy browsing. So these are a great bunch of resources to check out. Now, here are some resources that are more geared towards YA books and children's books. I've found all these being the Rosie award chair because I read a lot of YA because of that. So Underlined is the first one, and this used to be called First in Line, and it's through Penguin Random House. They give early access to books, chapter samplers, deleted scenes, cover reveals, lots of swag. They have a ton of contests and giveaways, and then they also have VIP invites to their events, which are mostly virtual now, of course. And I've received boxes of finished hardcovers from them from First in Line. So I would recommend signing up for that for your teen librarians. Novel is NOVL. It's through Little Brown Books. They have a seasonal galley request form for librarians and bloggers. They give away a monthly novel box, which is a box curated by, excuse me, a different young adult author each month, and it has 3 or 4 books and also a bunch of book swag and a letter from the author. I won the novel box a few years ago, and I'll show you a picture of that in a bit. And then they also have Twitter giveaways quite often for novel. Riveted is Simon & Schuster's teen program, and here you can read books online for free. They have full books available, and then they have 2 or 3 giveaways that change monthly. Epic Reads is through HarperCollins, and they have 4 or 5 giveaways a month, and they have a young adult author database with a lot of tour information, so it's a great website. And then Fire Reads is through Sourcebooks, and Sourcebooks is, I believe, out of Chicago, so it's not too far from us. They have a reviewer sign up, and they also have a request form where you can just request one title on their website. They also have a lot of giveaways, excerpts, newsletters, and behind the scenes interviews. So Fire Reads is a great one to get started. Now, where are my fellow teachers at? I was a teacher for a short while here. Maybe you've heard of teachingbooks.net. Along with their amazing resources they offer, they also have 5 or 6 book contests each month, and they have great prizes which can be used in classrooms or libraries. So that is a direct link to their Teaching Books blog, and that's where the contests are shown. Okay. The next group of resources are places where you can give a book review or a short thoughts about a book when you first see it, and then receive free books as an incentive. So one of the first ones is Book Perk Page Turners. That's kind of a mouthful. This is through HarperCollins Publishers. What you do is you get an email sent to you with a short survey about your books and your interests, and then you receive free ebooks in exchange. This is a fairly new one, so I'm excited to see kind of how it develops in the future. But the surveys are not really long by any means. They're usually just a few questions. And then once you fill out their survey, you'll get the ebook code for a free ebook. Book Sirens is connected through Goodreads. So if you have a Goodreads account, you can connect your Goodreads to Book Sirens. You just search Book Sirens or click this link, and then you can receive free digital ARCs to read and review. And they have different offerings every month. Bookish First, this is one that I've recently been using more and more. I didn't really realize how it worked at first, so I kind of didn't use it, but now that I know how it works, it's awesome. So what happens with Bookish First is you read excerpts and give your first impression, and then it's just like a little quick feedback that you give the company for a new book that's coming out. And then they choose so many people to receive that book for free. So you review the book and you can share your reviews to Goodreads, Amazon, and other book community sites. And each time you give a first impression feedback or you review or share your book, you earn points. So for example, when you sign up, you get 500 points. And then for each first impression you give about one of the new books shown, you get 100 points. And then for each book you review or share anywhere, you get another 100 points. So your points add up pretty quickly. If you post a review on Amazon the day the book publishes, you get an extra 300 points. So that's like a bonus round. When you get to 2,000 points, you get a book of choice, any book that they have on offer, which they have quite a few. So you get to choose a free book and they mail it right to you. I've gotten 3 or 4 books so far, and you can write reviews on books, any of the books on their site, and get points. So this is one of my favorite ones, Bookish First. Another one of my favorites is Penguin Random House Reader Rewards. So if you buy books, even if you buy them for others, all you have to do for Penguin Reader Rewards is go on and put in your proof of purchase So even if you buy it through Book of the Month, which I do, or Amazon or wherever, you just have to show your receipt or your proof of purchase. And then you put in the ISBN number so they can verify that it is a Penguin Random House book under their publishing umbrella. And you get points toward free books. So every book you purchase and put in your info, you get 10 points. And then once you get to 120 points, you can choose any book from Penguin's website up to $30 value. And it's free to sign up. You don't have to be a librarian. Anybody can join. So Penguin Random House Reader Rewards. That's a good one. Okay, so I told you I'd give you a couple examples, and this is just kind of a break from all the text for a bit. Here's just a couple examples of things that I've won. I talked about the novel box. There's a picture. There were 4 signed books in there, and then some book swag and letter from the author that curated the box. So that was just something where I signed up on their website. And the photo on the right shows the Skype visit with the author that I won by retweeting his post on Twitter. And this was a few years ago, pre-COVID, when authors charged for Skype visits. So the prize package at the time, it was really cool because it was a free Skype visit with a class, and then 25 signed hardcovers of his book, which I raffled off to the 6th graders. And then he sent a whole bunch of bookmarks and book swag for all the students so that everybody had something. So I worked with the teachers and we read the book together and integrated it into the curriculum, and then they had their questions for him all ready to go for our Skype visit. So this was just something easy that I did. All I did was retweet on Twitter, and I won the whole thing. So that was pretty exciting. All right, and these are some places where you review in exchange for books. Many of these are Christian fiction. They seem to have a lot of rewards programs like that. My Reader Rewards Club is through Tyndale House Publishers, and it's Christian fiction and nonfiction titles. They have not a huge selection of items to choose from, but they're updated with new titles monthly. They have things even like coloring books, Bibles, things like that that are like gift books. So they'll send you an email and let you know kind of what they have on offer. And their website's easy to navigate and keep track of reviews that you've done in the past. The Reader's Lounge at Page Chasers. This is another one with Christian fiction and nonfiction titles. You can get one title at a time through this one. They also have monthly sweepstakes and ebook deals. So how it works is you choose a title, you read it, you receive it in the mail, read it, put in your short review on their website, and then you can right away choose another title. And the books are yours to keep. Book tasters. I found out about this. It's through Twitter. It's a gamification type. And I talked with the guy that started it when I did this presentation a few years ago for ILF, and he was explaining to me that it's more like a game. So what they have you like them on Twitter, and then they send you a message letting you know what books they have on offer for you, and they send you a digital review copy. And then they also have monthly review or monthly contests. So depending on how many books you review for them, you can win physical books based on how many book reviews you do. They're very friendly. Like I said, the guy that started it was very eager to give me all the information and was glad that I was mentioning it in my presentation. So that's one through Twitter if you have a Twitter account. Library Thing is their early review program. You can receive an email each month with a new batch of early review offerings. Some of them are physical books, some of them are ebooks. It'll say right after the book title. You can request whichever ones you want, and you'll try to win the copies. They give away so many copies to Library Thing members every month. And then they also have member giveaways, which you can enter as many as you like. Those change monthly. And then lastly, Baker Books Bloggers. This is Christian fiction and nonfiction. After you sign up, you'll receive a monthly newsletter with the books that are offered for review. You can receive any of them that you're willing to review and share your feedback with them on a form that they send. And these are physical copies that you'll get in the mail and yours to keep and not ebooks. I like this one because I kind of got sick of ebooks for a little while there. Okay, next I'm going to show you a couple things for kids. Kids can review books and receive free books as well, so I always pass these on to my students. There's a Penguin Rookie Reviewers program, so the kids fill out the little consent form. I think a parent has to sign it and then send it in. And then they can receive books free through Penguin to review, and their reviews are very short, just basically what you like, what didn't you like, how many stars would you give the book, and then they can pass them along to their friends or keep them or whatever they want to do. They're theirs to keep. And then there's Dojo Books. They have lots of book giveaways, and they have contests from publishers, all geared towards kids. So if you have some eager kids that love to read and review, you should show them these. Now, another way that you can get free resources is to review books for a publication or website. And as I mentioned, I review for School Library Journal and Library Journal. So I'll tell you how kind of that works. The others I don't review for, but I know they have a great review program. So School Library Journal, how that works is you receive your review copy, your early copy to use to write your review, of course, and then you submit your review through their little link, and then you receive a final hardcover finished copy once the book is published, and that's kind of your thank you for doing the review. And then same thing with Library Journal. You get an early copy, do your review, and then you get a hardcover or finished copy if it's paperback to keep. So those are great to donate back or use as prizes. Book list, you receive a nominal fee per each review printed and even a smaller fee for book reviews that are rejected. But book lists, I think, is a little bit more difficult to get in as a reviewer. Voya, they're very particular. I was going to review for them, but they're very particular with their wording on their reviews, much more so than School Library Journal and Library Journal. But you do get to keep the review copies that they send to you. And then BookPage, they have a reviewers program as well, but it's kind of hard to get into BookPage. I couldn't get anybody to send me back any information, but I do have the link there if anyone wants to give it a try. The links provided here are all go to their websites and show you how to become a reviewer. It takes a little digging to find them. Most of the time you send your resume and some writing samples, or usually a review that you've done already. And make sure you look at their publication first so you can match your review to their specific style when you send it. Their styles vary greatly from one magazine to another. And then they all have word limits, so I'm kind of wordy if you haven't noticed. So when I write, I have to really pare down my review when I'm ready to send it in. But I do find it rewarding to review books for these publications. It's really a neat thing to see your name in print with your review. And then the free books are a great perk for donating to my school or local library, or just reading and passing on to my friends as well. Then, serving on a book award committee is a great way to get free resources for your library as well. Our state has 3 book award committees, which are all under the Indiana Library Federation umbrella. Any active member, ILF member, can serve on any of these committees. You volunteer to serve. If you're in another state besides Indiana, your state probably has book award committees as well, and I encourage you to check those out. For Indiana, we have the Young Hoosier Book Award Committee. They have book lists for picture books, elementary age chapter books, grade 4 to 6, and then middle grade chapter books, grade 6 to 8. So they provide a list each year of award winners for all 3 age groups. The Read Aloud Book Committee comes up with read aloud lists for all age groups, even timeless read alouds for adults and children alike. And then the Book Award for high school students is the Elliott Rosewater Indiana High School Book Award, and that's the one that I'm currently the chair of, so I've been on that one for about 4 years. And that picture there shows after one of our meetings, those are the books that I was assigned to read for our period of, I think it was April to October, and then you get to keep the books. So you usually get about 25 to 30 books to read each nomination period, each year. So those are yours to keep afterwards. And it's fun to read a lot of things that you may not have read to begin with. And it's a little challenging this year with COVID to be the chair, but we have made it work, and it's fun to meet other people on the committees and all the volunteers. And then you also get to meet the authors that come for the conference, or the authors that win the book award. Usually you get to meet them and get to know them a little bit. So all good things for serving on a book award committee. Now, one of the best ways to very easily sign up for contests and giveaways is to watch newsletters. There's a website that I'm going to give you called Early Word, and Early Word has already done all the work for us in finding all the publishers and all their umbrellas and given us the links to sign up for their newsletters. So Early Word's going to be on the resource list. They have curated the list already into children's and then adults. So it's extremely helpful if you have a book you want to try to get. You can see the contact person at each of the publishing imprints and sign up for their newsletter. So if there's, say, a new Jeff Zentner young adult book you want to get, and you're not sure who the publisher or who to contact to ask about the book, well, if you find out that his publisher is, I don't know, if it's Simon Pulse, you look up Simon on their young adult list, and then you find the person that you can send an email to and say, hey, is there any chance I could get Jeff Zentner's new book to review? So it's a great place. Early Word's a great place to get publishing contact information and sign up for newsletters. Newsletters are full of giveaways and contests just for librarians. On this page, I have some examples. The kids' books there, Monkey and Tool Belt, that was something that was in the Shelf Awareness newsletter. And then the other one next to it, Animal Planet books, that was in the Early Word website. And you can see all you have to do is just click the little link. Click here to request an early copy or enter the giveaway. The one on the left there is a new book coming out. Request your copy. And then on the bottom, you can enter the sweepstakes for Heartless. So these are always inside of the Shelf Awareness newsletter and also on the Early Word website. And then once you start signing up for publishers' newsletters, you get them quite frequently. I try not to just send them to the delete folder. I at least check them through and go all the way to the bottom, because many times at the bottom are freebies and giveaways, and usually it's click here if you'd like a copy of this book, or click here to be signed up to win a box of books from our new catalog, stuff like that. So I would highly encourage you to not trash those and to look at the bottom, because all the good stuff's at the end. And as you request and review books, some publishers might ask you to be on their standing galley lists. If they ask you that, just say yes, because that means that they're just going to be sending you monthly or quarterly titles, so boxes of books that they want you to consider. And once you're signed up, it's awesome, because then you just keep getting books. When I was a school librarian, I was on the list for Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, and Penguin Random House Young Readers. So that right there is one of the ways I got so many books for the kids' library. And then a few examples of things I've won from the newsletters. I responded to a Orca book publisher's newsletter and won a set of 10 books, a graphic novel that I donated to the classroom library. And then in a Candlewood publishing newsletter, they had a thing for Judy Moody's anniversary, and if you clicked and put in your information, they would send you the entire Judy Moody set. So that was really cool. Any librarian could get the entire set for free just because it was like Judy Moody's anniversary. So that's just a few examples of all the awesome things that are in newsletters. So if I were you, I would sign up for some newsletters if you're okay with getting lots of emails. So how does this help my library? These are what I fondly refer to as my book haul photos. So when I was on summer break from school, I would still be receiving books at the school. So when I'd come back to school, this would be what I would do. I'd stack them all up and take a picture and be like, look at all these books I just got. So it was really fun because when the kids came back from summer break, we actually had some new books to put out on the shelves. And I may not have said this, but at my school librarian job, we had a very, very small budget. So this was very exciting to get all these things. So along with the obvious benefit of getting free materials, it's also a great way to network with publishers and authors and receive advanced knowledge of forthcoming titles to order for your collection. So signing up for these things kind of keeps you in the know of what's coming up and maybe what you want to order or things you want to request to read early. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears just a smidge, and I'm going to talk to you about ARCs and digital ARCs and some tips for book reviews and other things that might help you in receiving some free books of your own. Okay, so ARCs are advanced reader copies. They're marketing tools that publishers send out to reviewers, librarians, bloggers, bookstores. They are in limited supply and they're unfinished and uncorrected, so You'll often find many, many spelling errors in them. So if you're like me, you want to get out your red pen, but I try to just read past it. They'll all be fixed. Well, not all, but most will be fixed by the time the book is published. They also call them galleys. So you're not supposed to quote directly from them when you do a review. And the ways to get them, I've been talking about lots of ways to get them, but through publishers, authors give them away a lot of times, book vendors, and then giveaways, contests, and you could also do a blog tour if you have a blog, and they'll give you an ARC to read, and then you do the tour with the review, and oftentimes they'll let you do a giveaway and give away a book as well. What to do with ARCs though when you're finished with them, because you can't really put them in the collection because they're not finished copies. So you can give them away. You can hold a contest on a blog or Twitter. Don't resell them. That's bad, bad, bad. We all know that. But contests, they're great for contests. What if you have a summer reading or winter reading program? You can give away some ARCs as contest prizes. Also on Twitter, there's a hashtag books for trade, and you can swap your ARCs with other bloggers and librarians. And inside of Goodreads, there's an ARC swap as well, and it's linked there, Goodreads ARC swap. So once you sign up for that, you can kind of list, here's what I've got, show me what you've got, let's swap. So who doesn't love a good old-fashioned book swap? I definitely do. Another idea is to leave the ARCs in the little free libraries. I do that quite often because they're free and might as well let somebody else read them. Let's see. One more thing about ARCs is if you receive one from a publisher, that's kind of with the understanding that you'll post about it or you'll give them your honest feedback. So remember to send them a review or a link to a review, or even just send them your thoughts about the book, and then make sure you tell them thanks for sending it. Oh, one more thing about ARCs is I've seen this at a few libraries I've visited, which is a great idea. A lot of libraries leave them in their staff lounge, and then the staff can read them and keep up with the upcoming titles that are being published. So they leave them out as a perk for their staff. So that's very nice as well. So how do you get access to these early review copies? Two of the main ways to get access to digital review copies or e-galleys, digital ARCs, are Edelweiss and Edelweiss, sorry, I said that wrong, and NetGalley. So Edelweiss is the one I always used until I found out about NetGalley. And NetGalley, they have a lot of the same books, but NetGalley is just a lot easier to use than Edelweiss. So on Edelweiss's program, you can tag books in categories of which ones you want to read, which ones you've read. You can submit your review right from there. It'll submit it directly to the publisher. You can also nominate the book for library reads. And then they add books every Tuesday is pub day. So on Tuesdays, I usually check for new additions to NetGalley and Edelweiss. Edelweiss also just added audio listening copies that librarians can download. So that's, if you like audio, that's a great way. So anybody can sign up for Edelweiss. It's free and it's linked there. NetGalley might be the one you've heard of more. Like I said, it's very similar, but it's also a little bit easier to use. Their interface is a lot more user-friendly, but they have a wide range of book selection as well. Once a book is downloaded on NetGalley, it's yours to keep on your device. That's the one thing where they differ with Edelweiss. The book stays on your device until the publication date, and then it disappears. So with Edelweiss, if you get a book downloaded, you got to read it before publication. But NetGalley gives you a little more time because it stays on your device, which is nice. So on NetGalley, when you download a book and read it, you can put your review in right from their interface, and then they also have added early listening copies recently, just like Edelweiss. So if you're going to choose between one or the other, I would suggest NetGalley, but you should definitely check them both out because, like I said, they don't always have the same books. But what it is any book that's going to be published, you can sort by publisher, sort by author, search by title. It's all in there, and you can request to get them early. A lot of publishers will let you be whitelisted as well. So once you start requesting, for instance, from William Moreau, maybe they send you something, would you like to be whitelisted and receive our galleys without asking? So then basically instead of request button, request this book, you'll just have a download this book. And then you can download it without having to wait for permission. So that's a good thing for what happens once you start reading and reviewing on there. And like I said, on Tuesdays is a pub day, so if you want to check for new books, Tuesdays is a great day to check for new books. It's also a good place to keep track of what you want to read, kind of like Goodreads, because many times forthcoming books aren't always on Goodreads until closer to pub date. But on Edelweiss and NetGalley, they're listed on there as soon as the publisher, I think, acquires the book. I mean, they're listed 6 to 8 months early. They're already listing titles for spring and summer of 2021, for instance. So these are great ways to get digital review copies for librarians. And then audiobooks. If you love audiobooks, I love them all. So I am signed up for these, but Libro FM is a great way to get brand new and forthcoming audiobooks to preview and consider. Librarians, book reviewers, educators can download 3 titles a month using their Libro FM audiobook listening copy program, so the ALC program. All you have to do is request access using this link, and you put in your information, let them know you're a librarian or teacher, and then every month they'll send you an email and say, go download your free ALCs. So tomorrow for October, their email will be coming out, and you just go and pick 3 books, and then after downloading them, they're yours to keep. And then just make sure you always thank Libro FM when you put your post on about the book. And then Volumes is through Penguin Random House. Volumes is really cool because Penguin Random House, as you know, is a huge publisher and they have a lot of audio offerings. It's fairly new, and what you do is you download the free Volumes app, and then once you have it downloaded, there's a form that you need to fill out, and I've linked to the form. So you just fill out the form with your library affiliation, your email, and just tell them, hey, I've got the app downloaded, and then they flip some magic switch, and then you can download their audiobooks for free, and they're yours to keep. So I've been using a lot of Volumes audiobooks lately when I'm cooking dinner or walking or anything. Great time to do audiobooks. And then, as I mentioned, Edelweiss and NetGalley also have audio now, but they don't have as many offerings as these two. These are the big two. So I mentioned a little bit about early word, but this is just another link here. You never know until you ask. That's kind of how I look at it, is if you really want to read a book early and you want access to it, the publisher most likely wants you to do that because they love librarians and reviewers and they want you to tell people about their book. So if you see a book you want and you can't find it on NetGalley or Edelweiss or any of those other resources that I mentioned, you can go on Early Word and look up the publisher, contact the librarian contacts, and you can send an email to Melissa at Macmillan and say, Melissa, could I please get a copy of this forthcoming book to review? And usually you just submit your mailing address when you send the email, and more often than not, they will send you that book, and they appreciate it very much when you send a link to your review or give them your feedback. So you never know until you ask. You may as well ask. The worst thing they can say is no. And I haven't been told no very many times. The only times I've been denied a request is for a John Grisham book, because apparently you have to be major VIP to get an early John Grisham book. So I've quit trying to do that. Just a note there. So Early Word is a great resource. Early Word also has contests and giveaways. So check out that website. It's one of the best websites. Now, if for some reason you can't find your publishing contact information on the lists provided at Early Word's website, another way to find a contact person is to go to the publisher's website and find an email address for media inquiries or publicity requests. Some of them even have links for those wanting review copies. So if you scroll down to the bottom of their webpage and look at all their little links, you can usually find something that says media, publicity, or review requests. So if you click on that, you'll find an email address or a form, a way to get them. So sometimes it takes a little digging, but usually it's at the bottom of their website. Okay. And then this is just quick to tell you kind of if you want to start your own blog, there are many platforms you can use. Like I said, I've used Blogger and WordPress, but you don't have to have a blog to do book reviews. You can post book reviews without making an actual blog. You can post them on Goodreads. You can post them on Amazon. You can, of course, post them on various social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Um, with Amazon, they have a program called Amazon Vine, and it's apparently by invitation only. You have to have so many reviews posted, and then they're like, "Hey, do you want to join our program?" But once you do that, I think there's some sort of compensation for your reviews. Um, and then Instagram and Twitter, they have the Bookstagram hashtag, which is an amazing place full of book lovers who are reviewing and talking about books all the time. And then YouTube, you can do book talks. They're great for all ages. During the quarantine, I did a book talk every Saturday morning for 12 weeks. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, but it was really fun. So I encourage you maybe to try something new or step out of your comfort zone. But like I said, you don't have to have a blog. You can still post reviews and get access to these resources without having a blog. And if you want to start one, here's just a few quick tips. Pick a platform, tell everyone about your blog. You can attach it to all your social media outlets. The more traffic you have on your blog, the higher chance that your publishers are going to notice and you're going to get more books. I like to tag authors and publishers whenever I post a review. It's important to post new content regularly so you can schedule your post ahead of time. And it's also important to interact and engage. If people comment on your blog or ask a question, make sure you respond back and don't just leave them hanging. And then adding reviews to Goodreads, Amazon's, and other book retailers is a good practice as well. So every time I make a post on my blog, I try to attach it everywhere else so it's out there. And I'm not an expert on book review blogs. This is just basic information I've learned from trial and error and teaching myself over the years. And if you don't want to devote your time to the blog daily, you can always write a bunch of posts and then schedule them to post periodically so that your blog has fresh content. I usually write a review right after I read the book and then schedule them about a week before publication because usually publishers don't want you to post your review very, very early. They prefer that you post it right around publication time. And if books already published, I just schedule my posts and spread them out so that I'm not always posting on the same day. And then some quick review tips. If you're writing a book review, try not to be too short, try not to be too long. Think Goldilocks. Don't give out spoilers. I tried not to do this, but I'm sure I've done it once or twice. Just get so excited about the book. Be specific about what you like and don't like. So, don't just say, well, this book was bad. Give some examples why. Try to remain neutral and objective. You can suggest similar titles and authors that remind you of this book. So, like fans of Kristen Hanna will love this book. I like to do those things at the end. Organize your posts into categories and add plenty of tags to them. So, if you write a book or a book review about a historical fiction taking place during World War II, make sure you put the tags on there. World War II, Holocaust, historical fiction. All the different things you can think of to categorize your review so it will be seen. And then on your review, like I said, tag your publishers and authors, and then cross post them to all the social media and different channels that you have. And then send a thank you or send your review to the kind person who sent you the early copy or the free book or the digital book, if that's the case. Because if you send them your review and they see that you're serious, then they're very likely to start sending you books or say yes when you ask for the next book. Okay, so I went over a ton of websites and resources today. I hope that you can choose some of those to try. I do have them all linked on that resource list we're going to share at the end of the presentation, and then I'll also send it out with the recording and the slides. But feel free to contact me because you might have questions about how they work more or anything like that. You can always contact me. I'd love to hear from you. I love to help people use these resources and get books. It's really fun. If you have Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, find me so we can talk about books. I would love it. And I also, of course, retweet and post tons and tons of giveaways on my Bookstagram and my Twitter and Facebook and all the like. So, friend me and we can share in the giveaway fun. So you can see my giveaways and then you can sign up for them. So I hope you guys get some great information, and I really appreciate you tuning in today. And if you have questions, I will now stop talking for questions.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was fabulous. And everyone is actually commenting and thanking you in the chat. We did have two questions that came through. Kathy wanted to know, are most free books you receive gallery proofs?
I would say about maybe half and half. I receive a lot of adult books that are finished copies. The publishers send those out. Um, Most of the finished copies I get is because of my Bookstagram. They want you to post pictures of the finished copies with your review. And then a lot of the early copies I get are for reviewing for magazines and blog tours. So it's kind of half and half.
Okay, and Victoria asked, if not interested in reviewing books, which sources are best for receiving ARCs or entering contests and giveaways?
Okay, so those would be like the earlier resources that I gave. Let's see. The first couple slides were the contest and giveaways slide. You don't have to review them for all of those. And then there's a second slide with more contests and giveaways. And then let's see. Yeah, there's tons of resources on those first three slides. The ones basically that you have to review for are the ones that I put at the top, review in exchange for books. So you don't have to always review. You can just sign up for the contest or the giveaway or just request a copy. And Goodreads, you can always sign up for those. You don't have to review those.
Okay, that's the questions that came through in the chat. I did go ahead and switch over to the LEU pod, and so there is the place where you can download the resource list that Laura has shared, as well as the LEU certificate. Laura's information, contact information, is in the bottom pod if you need that, but Laura will be getting in contact with you after the webinar is over to give you all of these things too. Laura, I'm clapping for you. You did a great job. Very good presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. And like I said, I see on the chat someone says it sounds like a full-time job. I agree it does. I've been doing it a long time though, and I started small and then just kind of it built up over the years. So like I said, it kind of just becomes second nature. So if you want to just start with a few resources and see how it goes, I would suggest doing that.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for Laura before we sign off for the day? If you do, just type them in the chat box. Laura will be able to see them now that she's finished with the presentation. And we'll leave this up for a little bit so you can download the resources that are in the top pod. But if for some reason it doesn't work, don't worry, you'll get it from Laura later.